Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this masterclass, helping you put your yoga and meditation classes online. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope you know who we are. We're trying to find out who we are. So I'm Jane Clapham, and I've been doing Dru Meditation and Dru Yoga for 35 years, I think. And it's my great pleasure to welcome you all today. Now, I know you're coming from all over the world, and some of you it's 6 a.m. for some of you. So thank you so much for making the massive effort to join us today. So we've got lots of really exciting things for you today.
And I think the biggest and most exciting thing is the fact that we're all together. And really, what an amazing thing. Literally, there are people in Sydney and Canberra and Western Australia, and then around the equator, I think we've got an Indian person. We've got people from Qatar and all over Europe, and then there's maybe a few in the United Kingdom, you know how it is. So we are going to have the most amazing time together. I think there might even be some people from the Americas here as well. And the biggest thing that we hope to show you is how you can have an experience like this yourself. So, over to you, Jane. Let's get into the details.
So let's just take a minute to breathe together. So wherever you are, please just put aside all the other things that you may be distracted by. Maybe switch your phone off or close other apps that may be distracting you at this moment. Make sure you've got a nice drink, get your pen and paper ready, and then just sit really comfortably. And let's just breathe together, shall we? Just 3 deep breaths to remind ourselves why we're here. So breathing deeply, a beautiful, deep yogic breath, feeling your body connecting with the earth and the heavens. Letting go of any busyness from your day. Any other sounds that may come to you, just let them go. Letting go of tension from anywhere in your body. And then bring yourself back to your heart. Bring yourself back to the Anahata chakra. And just remind yourself, ask yourself, why am I here? Could be why you're here in this masterclass. It might be why you are here on the planet. What is your mission, your vision to heal the world? Just breathe with that just for a few seconds. And then gently open your eyes, have a little stretch. And, you know, we're here, Andrew and I are here tonight. And with our team, I just want to mention that we have a whole team in the room as well. We've got Russell upstairs doing some great techie stuff. We've got Anushka and Avi and Zori with us as well. And they're actually doing all the chat with you. So if you have questions as we're carrying on, please do write them in the chat box, and Avi and Zori will be passing them on to us so we can answer them at the end. Hence the screen in front of us. I've also got my old-fashioned book. But all these things are to remind us why we're here tonight. Why are we here? And of course, in Dru, we're here to transform the world through giving people the tools to transform themselves. And as teachers of Dru Yoga and Dru Meditation, isn't that transformation so crucial at this time? It really is the thing that everybody is looking for, the love to replace the fear that we may be experiencing at the moment, the reminder of who we are, the reminder that we're in this physical body, the reminder of health and well-being, and by teaching, what a gift that is to the world. And just because coronavirus is turning our lives upside down, it doesn't mean that you as teachers need to stop what you're doing. And I know in the last week, Things have happened so quickly, haven't they? We were reflecting in the Instagram the other day, the Instagram Live, that just in 7 days, probably your classes will have stopped, your physical classes. You know, it's a time of massive change for your economic situation, for everything. So your students out there need you more at this time probably than ever before. They need your strength. They need your guidance. So tonight we want to look at ways that you can carry on being that pillar of strength in their lives. How you can create community as well. People are feeling isolated at home. People are feeling lonely. How can you connect with them in different ways? So we will be looking at different ways of getting online, and also we'll talk about other ways you can connect that may not just be online, because I know some of you probably here tonight are maybe a bit apprehensive, or you think maybe this isn't your thing just now. So we want to include everybody in what we're doing tonight, but you are really important. Please remember why you're doing this, and you might want to write that down in your book, why you started teaching yoga and why it's important to adapt what you're offering for these interesting times.
And do feel free to add that to the chat as well, because it's just amazing for everybody to see what you are doing, what your intention is for the world. And that in itself creates a burst of goodwill and a feeling of connectedness, which is really, really special. And I've just been teaching our Advanced Practitioner Diploma course here in the UK. For you Aussies, it's the Postgraduate Mastery course. And we did it all online. There were 30 or so of us, 25, and we were all little squares on the TV screen in front of us. But you know, we were together. And I think if you reach out in your awareness now to the 400 or so of us who are with us at this moment, you'll feel a web of connectedness. If you allow yourself the freedom to think, whoa, what an amazing group of people are here on this planet with me, not me, but you, me, with me at this moment. And you might even want to just embrace a little bit energetically the idea that, there are 400 versions of you around this planet at the moment. And you all care deeply for this earth, for humanity, of course for your family and your class students. And that care is something that this world needs so very deeply at the moment. And Jane was telling me this morning that she saw a Facebook post saying that it's unprecedented how many times the word unprecedented has been used in the last unprecedented week. And even my sentences are unprecedented. Sorry.
Or even unprecedented if you're British.
But people now need the opportunity to come to someone who can nourish them, who has the sense of their own stillness, their own Dru point inside. Someone who loves, and someone who's remembering that this is perhaps the greatest lesson humanity has had for many, many, many decades. And we will come through it. We will find a new level of consciousness as a result of this. And it's up to us to establish that new sense of consciousness and why we're all here. So you're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. And we've got so much to share. We better get on with it.
As well as remembering the spiritual reasons in a way why it's important that we adapt what we do, there are also very important economic reasons for doing this as well. And I know for some of you who rely on the income from your classes, this is really important, that you can be very agile in your offering, that you can carry on making an income. You know, there are many of you who are single parents, you know, you're really dependent on your income as yoga teachers. So we want to support you in carrying on making a living as a yoga teacher, doing what you love. So we're going to start with the bit that might be a little bit more challenging for some of you. So what's the tech side? What do you need to start doing online yoga classes, to stream your classes? What do you actually need? So actually it's quite simple. You can probably do your online classes with one of two things, a laptop or a phone, or both. So you don't need to go out and buy lots of very, very expensive things. There are just 3 things actually that you do need. Your way of recording, filming, so that's either your phone or your laptop, audio and lights. Now I'm feeling slightly kind of nervous saying this because I know Russell's upstairs and he is the master of audio visuals. And he was actually saying earlier, we are qualified to share what we know, but if you want to take this further, you must experiment for yourself and you must try it out. So I'm going to explain what people have found, especially on the Dru Yoga Teachers Facebook group. I'm feeding back what people have found the best solutions, but you may need to find more in-depth help than we can give you in this short masterclass, okay? So first of all, you're going to need some sort of recording device, your phone or your laptop. Okay, then you will need to be lit. Now, where we are here in the Eurowalk Hall, we have a massive light that feels very hot at the moment. We have a beautiful light. I'm going to show you what we've been using for our Instagram lives in the morning. Now, this is a very small light designed for use just with your phone very close up. So if you're thinking of doing meditation classes or talks just individually on your phone, a small light like this might be enough. This was £15. So this has got a nice soft setting and a more bright setting. So I can tell you afterwards where I got that from. You might want a bigger light if you've got a bigger space to illuminate. Now, for many of you in your homes, isolated in your homes, your home studio is going to be your living room or your bedroom or your spare room or a corner of your kitchen. So setting the area, rearranging your furniture is going to be important. So you might want to see what light will work best where you are. You could use natural light if you've got a window facing you, but you make sure you're not backlit. Now that might sound very obvious. You want the light on your face. Okay, you want people to see what you're doing. Okay. Secondly, you want people to hear what you're saying. And many people say audio is the most important thing. You can get away with slightly bad visuals, but you can't get away with people not hearing what you're teaching them. So get a mic. Now, there are many levels of microphones. And again, I'm looking slightly nervously at Russell here because he knows all about that. But what we found works for us, when I'm doing small classes, maybe just for a few people, I either use a small microphone, and I've got this one here, and this is a type-in mic, and I've attached an extension cable to that, and that plugs into my phone. So that is good as long as you're careful not to trip up on the cable. The hazards of being an online yoga teacher, you've got to be very careful. So the other thing that you can get is a radio mic that plugs directly or that connects directly with your iPhone, and you can Google them. So many people find a headset much easier, or just like a mic like this actually that we've got on today, because it's remote. There are no cables to trip up on. So you've got your audio, you've got your lights. You might want to think about
a gorilla.
Yeah, gorilla. You might want to think about where you're going to place your laptop or your phone that's going to do the filming. Now, one rule of thumb is make sure you elevate everything. It's kind of a rule in Dru generally, isn't it? Always elevate. So you want to make sure that your camera is really eye level, because you don't want it kind of looking up at you, because your chin may look slightly interesting. It's not the most flattering view. So I know some people have chairs, they have piles of books, they may have a small tripod like this, or they may have a bigger tripod. Just think about how you're going to arrange your environment so that your recording device can be about at eye level. Okay, does that make sense? Good, give us a thumbs up. Okay, check you're still with us and you haven't fallen asleep there on the sofa. If it's 6 a.m. in Australia, you may be slightly sleepy. So those 3 things, yeah? The recording device, the audio, the lights. Basic, but important. So, I thought of something else and it's gone out of my head, so I hand over to you, Andrew.
Well, there's plenty of other things to say about that. Jane's going to tell you about the kind of platforms you can use in a moment. But while we're on the topic of material, there's a few other things that you might want to keep in your mind, and that is to not play background music.
Very important.
Now that's a surprising thing, because normally we play background music when we're teaching yoga. But it turns out that almost certainly when you're streaming it online, the way that the software works, it's designed to cut out the background music. Oh, sorry, the background noise. And maybe you walk around all the time with background music, and maybe that would be okay. But most of us have got background noise, and so the software aims to get rid of that background noise. And so if you try and play music while you're speaking, the software will be busy trying to get rid of that background music. And the results will sound somewhere between a fishbowl, a hurricane, and Doctor Who's Daleks. That's our experience. So best not to use background music. And we've started to experiment on inviting our students to bring along their own background music to play it in their area. We're going to talk about muting in a little bit, so I'm going to pass back to you to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got your setup. You know about the right music. Now, how are you going to put that? How are you going to stream that? So there are a few platforms that some of you might have tried, but we're going to focus on the one that we have found the most effective and the most successful. And I think listening to all of you guys, that's the one that you would recommend the most, and that's Zoom. Okay, we're going to put a link in the email that will come to you once we finish. But Zoom, you've probably all heard of it. They're on such a roll at the moment because everybody's suddenly using Zoom for all their meetings, but it lends itself very well to online classes, online yoga classes particularly. It's about $14.99 a month in dollars. So dollars.
Oh,
yeah.
They come down.
Yeah. So I've just put the slide on there so you can see there's a free account that you may want to just play with first of all. And the free account has a limitation that you can only hold meetings for up to 40 minutes. So I wouldn't worry about the free account. If you're really serious about this, I would go for the pro account, because you then have unlimited time for your meetings, and you have up to 100 people joining you, which hopefully should be enough for some of your classes. So for most of you, I think the pro account on Zoom is probably the best thing to do. And I want to just show you what the recent Dru Yoga training screen looked like when we had all our team last weekend joining in. So you see little screens of all your students. There's Chandra there. I can see Alison Massey. So you can see them now. We're going to come to safety. So we're going to talk about safety and insurance and payment in a bit. Andrew's talking about also the energetics. We're coming to that. But with Zoom, you want to make sure that your students position themselves so that you can see their whole body. So it needs their phones or laptops need to be far enough away so you can see them. So you can interact with them, and you can make sure in your online class that they're actually doing the sequences properly. So we found Zoom has worked really, really well. I don't want to go too much into the technicalities here and now, because there's various views. So you can have a screen where you're, as the presenter, you're bigger and then you don't see the students so much. There's various ways you can make Zoom work for your needs. I don't want to go too much into those technicalities. I think that sort of thing might work better in a smaller group, but we found Zoom brilliant, and that's what we're actually using on our teacher training courses, and we're taking a lot of our courses online. For example, our Ayurveda weekend, we'll be doing some sessions on Zoom, some pre-recorded videos. So that idea you may want to think about for your own classes as well. The other platform that you might want to actually work with is Facebook. Now, we have been doing a lot more social media in the last week, 10 days, since we've started together at home. You might have noticed that every morning we're there on Instagram, some mornings we're there on Facebook. And what I find really useful with Facebook is a lot of your clients will probably already be on there. And in these changing times, it's important not to put people under too much stress to learn lots of different systems. So I know some of our teachers are actually making a Facebook group specifically for their students that are paying, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you've got your payments from your students, you set up a private Facebook group for them, and then you can have Facebook Lives where you do your classes, and Facebook Lives are recorded so people can watch them afterwards. So a lot of people are finding a Facebook group is a really easy way, particularly if your students are a little bit older and they may not want to go into different platforms. It's a way to take your teaching into the lives of your current clientele. So Facebook groups, Zoom. Some of you might be using Google Hangouts, but not necessarily so easy to give the contacts to the group, whereas with Zoom, you just send one link to everybody and it's really easy to join. With Google Hangouts, it's a bit more complicated to add people to calls and things, so that's why, for now, we're saying Zoom ahead into success.
Right, let's zoom into some safety considerations. Goodness. And what we thought we'd do is cut this little bit out and send it to the Zoom company after this. We're not getting anything from Zoom by making this plug. It's just so safety. As teachers, we want to make sure that what we're giving to our students is something that is going to elevate them and not do anything else. So there's a number of ways you can really enhance the safety of your students while you're teaching like this. And the first and most obvious way is you don't even need to teach yoga. You could just give them a ring. And you making a phone call to them once a week would be an amazing way of reaching into their lives and supporting them. Not only that, you probably, with a little bit of skill, could invite them to pay for that service and make it just a beautiful call, a mentoring call in which you help them maybe for 15 minutes and just work through your students during the week. Because we're all at home, we've got time for this kind of thing. It's up to you, whatever way you decide to go. You could do podcasts, simple little audios, and the Apple Store has all kinds of ideas for that. But if you want to do a yoga class, then we need to start talking about video, Zoom, etc. And one thing that's made a very big difference for people is to, well, this is Russell's advice actually, try it with your friends first. Become an expert with people who won't mind having a really good laugh at your expense. So that's one thing to do. And then the next thing to do before you actually start by teaching yoga with your students is to set up a pre-session, a pre-class session in which you just do the tech stuff and have a really good laugh with each other. Now, some of your students will be faster than grease lightning. Others of your students will be like, what do I have to do now? And it can be quite a frightening thing for some people, or at least a stressful thing. And our aim is to not add more stress to the world. Our aim is to help people. So when people have come together and you can just have a good time with the tech and there's plenty of time to play with the whole situation, that itself is a major safety consideration because you'll remove the stress from inside their experience of their yoga. Secondly, in that session, you can help them set up their computer so that you can see them. Now, this is quite important from a safety point of view. You will want them to be in a place where the light shines onto them and they're not like a black silhouette in front of a gorgeous Australian sunlit windowscape or something like that. You need to be able to see them. You need to be able to see their whole body, preferably. Generally, you won't need to hear them, and in fact, you'll find it's the most amazing thing. When they are by themselves, listening to you on the screen, after a little while, they go into a zone and almost have more concentration on what you're saying than they would if they were in a class, with the distraction of other people and how are they doing and how am I doing and what will they think of me and do I look good doing this? It doesn't matter when you're in your own home. You can just focus on the matter at hand, which is discovering a yoga. So that actually means you're in a great place to start with safety because you've really got their attention. That's a very profound thing. But you can go on and do much more than that. The other great thing about Dru as a style is that it's actually inherently safe. We've taught you, I hope, that you're going to help people transform better by their quality of their awareness rather than the depth of their stretch, the strength of their muscles, or the extremity of their posture. We're more interested in flow, aren't we? And the discovery of how the asana grows in its experience within us, how the technique grows in its experience within us. So for that, I think we'd suggest that you really help your students not do end range stretches or strengths, but rather do end range consciousness, discovering as best they can what the movements feel like. So that probably means you'll teach more gently and more at ease than you might if you're in a class. So for some of you, I can hear you saying, yeah, but what about my students who want a really good workout? If there's a few of them. Those you can still give a safe workout to by, again, not going deeply into the stretch, but doing lots of movements with lots of core, possibly faster than normal. Gentle movements, but repeating them more often and with lots of core. And you'll find that you can help anybody work up a stretch. And interestingly, their muscles will still get a fabulous sense of being worked out. So yeah, Dru is inherently safe. So I think the other thing to be aware of as well is when you're aligning people, so the idea is if you're using Zoom, or I guess Facebook Live helps you a little bit, but not quite so well, you will be able to see them, and there'll be like a checkerboard on your screen, which does mean that it's useful to have a larger screen rather than a small screen. That's something you'll have to play with a little bit. So you can generally see them. That's a good start. Nevertheless, it's good to look into the camera so they feel that you are talking to them. So every now and then I've got Jane's slide of all the Scottish students, and they look fantastic. So this is me looking at the TV screen with all the people in front of me, and this is me looking at you. So if you see a difference there, that's what your students will see. And generally, we feel more engaged if we're actually talking to each other. And in this case, you look fabulous. I can see you all, you know, all 400 of you, reflected in that little round black lens there, and you look fabulous. Apart from the few of you that are still in your dressing gowns. I can see, you see. The other thing to say about safety is the whole topic of alignment. And I would advise you to explore the fine art of being such a good teacher that you no longer need to show people what to do, because you've learnt how to convey what they need to do with your own words. And there was a great Satyananda teacher many years ago in Britain whose method of teaching, she was disabled. She would come in to the class, everyone would be sitting there. She was a really, really strong teacher, and they would all be in their lotus position ready, and she would ascend onto a table at the front of the village hall. She would sit there. She wouldn't move a muscle from the whole class. But her words were like lasers, absolutely aligning everybody. So I really encourage you to practice your class again and again and again. Speak the words again and again and again until they come out of you like water flowing down the mountainside, so that it's just effortless for you to say just the right thing for each person. So that's a good start. Anything else you want to add to the safety posture possibilities?
I think one very practical thing is the online studio has a fantastic safety video. Get them all to watch it before you start your classes. It's very simple. It goes through all the safety points that we always focus on in Dru Yoga. So I would get them to watch that. It's part of the free videos in the online studio. So, of course, the online studio, as we go through, and as we've been talking to some of you, to get the kit, to do the setup, some of you might be feeling, oh, it's a lot to do. I'm not sure I feel confident enough to do that. And that's why we have been working on the online studio for so many years, and we hope it's there to support you at this time. So some of you, I know, are recommending that your students find classes on the online studio as well. And what I've noticed with how our teachers teach, like Nana taught the Thursday night yoga class. Some of you joined her, I think, and some of you remarked, I think Lucy said, oh, it's really interesting. Nana actually made the instructions very simple, and she incorporated the safety points as she was teaching. So teaching without always getting feedback from your students forces you, if you're a good teacher, to become more safety conscious, because you need to include all those safety comments as you're teaching generally. But the online studio video I would highly recommend.
And that's the other way of doing things as well. If you're not particularly needing income from your classes, of course it's very different if you're needing income, we started this beautiful group of people on the teacher training course for the Scottish course, and we actually used the online studio videos from the teacher training course as the prime means of instructing the students. And then, and this is what you can do, Chandra, as the hostess with the mostess, she was there before and after their practice. So she would say, okay, so what I'd like you to explore now is this, this, and this, for this, this, and this reason. And here's a link, click on it, and off they all went. They did the yoga, and then they came back to her, and she nourished their experience. She listened to them on their chat. She helped them discover the depths of their experience. And so you can do that too. You can play a class from wherever, and before and after, check in with your students. You can do that as an actual video conference, or you can do it with them chatting away, which actually works remarkably well. And another reason that works well is that everybody can chat at once. And it's a fantastic thing, because you look at the screen and you see everybody's comments coming in, and they all feel that they've really had a good opportunity to express themselves. They haven't had to wait for everybody to stop speaking so that they can have an opportunity to speak. So it's a very inclusive process. So you might find that that's a helpful thing to do. And it's obviously a great, safe way of teaching a class, just to nourish before and after your students. So where are we off to next?
Well, we're going to talk about what you're offering, but I'm just wondering, I'm not seeing any messages coming up. They're not coming up in the... So we hope you're writing lots of things, but we're not actually seeing them through the WhatsApp group.
If you've got any questions or any comments, send them through so we can see
and
them
hopefully
as well.
the girls are sending them through to the WhatsApp, but we're not actually seeing them at the moment. So I've sent to our live chat group. There's nothing coming through yet. So we look forward to getting your comments. So what I'd like to talk about next is, could you just take a minute to think about what you are offering? What sort of thing are you comfortable offering? So for some of you, Again, for safety, I think, one-to-ones might be the safest thing to do, because then if you're using Zoom, you get a chance, especially with new students, to really teach them the fundamentals of Dru Yoga, to check that if you're teaching them Dru Meditation, you do need to check that they're doing the breathing as you're advising. So if you're working with new students, I would really advise that you do one-to-one classes. With your really established classes, then you can do more of the groups through Zoom and through Facebook Lives, as we were talking about. So going back to safety, I would be careful with your new students, really take care of them particularly. So some of you are using this time, the coronavirus blessing. Actually, do you know what karuna means? Do you all know what karuna means? Karuna means compassion. So rather than this spread of fear, we can spread the beautiful blessing of karuna, the coronavirus, which is spreading compassion and kindness through our classes. Just a little Sanskrit addition there. So karuna. So in this situation, some of you I know are saying, well, I'm actually going to really invest in taking my classes online, because maybe that's where my business needs to go anyway. Maybe after this finishes, how long it's going to be, we have no idea. Maybe this is the way my business needed to go anyway. So that is quite a possibility that some of you I know are going to make this more of a thing. So you might want to pre-record your videos and use other teaching sites to sell your videos, and I know some of you are thinking of that. Now, coming to the very important topic of how people are going to pay you. Okay, so you've put years of effort into training, you do your CPD, you do your daily practice, your teaching is worth money. Okay, this is something we often say in the DPN to you, please value what you give. Now I know some of you may want to do some tasters or some free stuff, but I do urge you as a Dru community to really value all the effort that you've put in, or everything that you've invested time and money-wise into your training, into your amazing skills. So people have been having discussions in the Dru Yoga Teachers group on how much do you charge for an online class. Some people have said, I'm actually charging what I normally charge for my physical classes. Some of you have said, well, I'm just charging a little bit less. I know some of you charging about £5 or £6 rather than £7 or £8 for your normal physical classes. An idea that some of you are putting into practice, which I really like, is selling people a month's access to your classes. So if you're teaching maybe 2 or 3 classes a week, and then maybe if you've got an online community, you've got a Facebook group, you might do a few Facebook Lives, then giving people a monthly subscription to your classes might be another way of keeping people involved. And then I know some of you are charging $30, £25, £20 for a month's worth of classes. So please just make it work for you. I know some of you who may not need to make your sole income from yoga might be tempted to do more free stuff, but please think about the other Dru Yoga teachers in your area. We want to make this sustainable for everybody. Now, how are they going to do that payment? So some of you are using PayPal. You can set up a PayPal account easily, and it's easy for people to pay you. Some people are doing donations via PayPal. So for some of your live online classes, you might want people just to give what they can afford, because everybody's being affected economically by this situation. I know some of you have been experimenting with having card readers iZettle, I think, Gaynor, you're using that. So you might, if you've got a card reader, then you can take people's card payments. Some of you are using Stripe. Some of you who already have an online booking system for your classes can take online payments just as easily for that. So if people are already booking your classes for the week or the term or block bookings through your online system, you can do that just as easily now as well. And of course, some of you just give your bank details and people pay you through Bax. So you might just want to think what works for you, but please, please value what you're giving. You have to, of course, be appropriate and work out what your students can afford, but see what really works in your case, in your area for your students, and that will be a great support to them. Okay.
There's been a few questions along the way.
Oh, yay!
One of them is about insurance. So, in fact, lots of them are about insurance too. So maybe you better cover insurance. Just everyone's kind of on the edge of their seats. Am I actually allowed to do this?
Well, of course, it depends who your insurers are. Most or many of our Dru Yoga teachers are insured through Balens. So we've written to Balens. Ned Hartfield has written to Balens specifically, and they have said that you can teach online, you can teach pre-recorded classes. So for your existing students that you have health forms for already, you can keep teaching them online, that's totally fine. You just need to keep very good records of who attended which class. So please have meticulous record keeping. You might want to write that down in your book. Meticulous record keeping, particularly at this time. Now that's where something like Zoom, where you're actively giving people links, or closed Facebook groups where you only let people in once they've paid and once you've got their forms, it's better than doing YouTube videos or something where it's just going out to the public. You have no idea who's actually watching them, and then you could be liable if they have a problem. So Balens say, yay, okay, that's fine, but please check with your personal insurer.
And just a few extra details around all of that. So from a privacy point of view, data protection and all that, provided you keep the people contained in your group, you should be pretty right with that. If you're in the EU and Facebook servers are in the US, you will need to tell your clients that that's the case. But apart from that, I think you're okay. So, I mean, there's complexities in there. And to date, no one has been fined vast sums of money in Britain or the EU for those kind of minor things. They're important, but they don't have to be the end of the world. And provided you're making an effort to tell people and be transparent, all of that will be fine. Also from the point of view of teaching pre-recorded classes, even on YouTube, you can set up a little group and people can only see it if you give them the password. That's okay. It does mean that if someone gave the password to someone else, you wouldn't know, and you might not be insured for that. So you have to be aware and careful of that kind of thing. And the other thing, the great big elephant in the room, is we yogis. We like to be outside. We like to be in a yoga studio with a natural floor and fresh air and all that, and we've got this computer sitting in front of us and a camera and lights and tech buzzing around us. So what do? Well, I guess we have to take things in context a little bit. I'm an engineer and I have got my electromagnetic force magnetometer, and I've been zooming around the camera and around the phone and all of that kind of thing. The biggest set of vibes you can create around you is if your phone is on mobile network. So if you're doing this kind of thing, make sure if you're using your phone that it's just on airplane mode or on Wi-Fi, but not on the phone network. Small little thing, but it really changes the atmosphere in the room. The other biggest thing that you're likely to experience in your home is your Wi-Fi hub. And you can have all the computers around you, all on, like Mission Control in Houston, but they will be adding a tiny amount of vibes to your room compared with that Wi-Fi hub. So have it at a safe distance from everyone. That's my experience. I quite like tech. I'm the one who makes our websites and things like that. But I have found that if I walk into a room where there's a strong Wi-Fi, I feel it immediately, and I do not experience it as a pleasant thing. I expect it is creating some level of dis-ease in my body. So something to keep aware of. It's not too hard to move these things or to even move yourself away from them. Okay, so that's a little bit of stuff about that. Anything else that I can see? She's got something to say.
Well, it's interesting because we've had such beautiful weather here in Wales. Today, yesterday, it's been glorious sunshine, blue skies. So we've tried to take as many of our live teachings, our Instagram lives at 10 a.m. UK time, we've taken them outside. So this morning, Lolita was out with views of the mountains behind. So if you want to bring the power of nature through your teaching, you can just be a bit more creative. So you can still be teaching outside while your students are wherever they are. So bringing the stillness and the power of nature through your teaching doesn't need to be limited by the situation. And I think for me, wherever I am, if I do a grounding, an earth meditation, I can be on a plane doing Prithvi Dharanam and I feel grounded. So please remember the power of your mind to transform anything. I mean, we wouldn't necessarily be doing this if we had the choice, but we are slightly in a choiceless situation if we do want to connect with people. So it's up to us to bring that Dru point through what we do, to bring the power of the earth through what we do, to bring nature into whatever we do. Have plenty of plants and, let the cat in and have the dog on the mat while you're teaching. There are ways to bring the natural world into your classes in a creative way as well. And I'm just seeing a question that we had about payments, going back to the payments. So I'm not sure who was asking this, but when people are paying, do you have to add or remove people from a private Facebook group? I would. So I would only allow them into the Facebook group once they've paid. And that's a way of just making sure that then those are the people then that you teach, and you can keep their records and everything unique.
A couple of other technical points in here as well.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a Zoom class, is it only live? Well, no, you can record it, and also everyone will see that you're recording it. And then how do I check their safety and so on? Well, of course, that is going to depend on you being really safe in your languaging and your reliance on Dru's techniques being inherently safe, provided you follow your instructions. Follow the teachings that you've had, follow your good sense, you will be safe. You'll be very safe. Okay, so, and one other thing from a technical point of view, if you're in a church hall because you've got no space in your own home or some other place, and there's no Wi-Fi there, then what are you going to do? Well, you can always use your phone, in direct contradiction to what I just said, make it into a hotspot. And what I do, in fact, this afternoon I was outrageous. I went for a walk along the top of the mountains up here, and yet I still needed to do a little bit of preparation for evening together. So I put my phone on a rock where there was good reception, and then I retreated about 20 meters away and set up my laptop and had a fine old time in the glorious sunshine on top of the mountains, doing my work in the biggest office of them all, Snowdonia Mountain, Snowdonia Mountain scenery. So you can be creative, and it's amazing what you could do. So shall I wrap up with a few moments on energetics?
That would be good.
So here we are. Here we all are in a room. You're in a little room, or your house, wherever. We're in a slightly larger room, but we're all in different rooms. But are we in different rooms? It's your choice. It's your choice to think, am I separate from all of these 400 people with us today? Or am I, in some way, pulsing in beauty and in reality with all of these people? Great, great souls. It's your choice. And so I'd like to invite you to make a choice of togetherness and unity. That's where the experience of group energetic starts. You're yoga teachers. You know what it is to be in front of a group of people, and that magical moment when it occurs, when everyone starts to feel the same thing, when a resonance starts and you realize that everyone in the room is pulsing with the same fragrance of consciousness. That's magic, that is. Many of us live for that moment. It's the highlight of our week or our month. When the stream of your love flows to your students. Technically, what's happening is Vyan Vayu has catalyzed itself into being. The connecting prana has come into our awareness. And that's happened because we've all started to resonate at the same level and in the same way. And your yoga is designed to make that happen almost without your input. It kind of just happens naturally sometimes. You're doing the 4 directions and you're thinking to yourself, oh no, what am I doing? I'm sure I'm not doing this very well. And then all of a sudden, the whole class seems to just get it. And magically, you're all together. And you can do that without having to be physically present with them. That's the glory of consciousness. It's not limited by time or space. And I bet if you reach out with your heart now and sense the other people around you, you'll feel a bit of correspondence. If you send out a smile to them, you'll feel a smile coming back to you. If you send out your stillness to them, you yourself will feel some stillness. If you allow yourself to think of the names of your students and speak to your students, like on my screen at the moment, we've got Annette, we've got Gaynor, we've got Kath, we've got Louise, we've got Claire. There's just these amazing people. Fiona of the Dawn. How beautiful is that name? And so it goes on. All of you are glorious people. So when you're teaching your class, speak to your students as normal. Compliment them as normal. Remind them of their inner strength and their inner capabilities as normal. You will find they will love you forever for doing this. They're in their homes. Many people around the world now, we're just in our homes. We can't go anywhere else. And we can't talk to anywhere else. All we can do is learn to love the people close to us, our family, ourselves. And it's our job as yoga teachers to help us all discover that. So the art of creating resonance is, one, to be doing the same thing at the same time, with all the depth and the love and the power that you're used to in a yoga class. And secondly, is to be quite aware of the experience of heart energy that you're creating in the class. And I just want to give you a little example of that. We've got just a tiny bit of time. We're slightly going over the time that we said for you, but hopefully you won't mind too much. If you just sit comfortably for a moment, make yourself at home, wherever you are, and then be aware of your base center, as if you're sitting on the square of the base chakra, that beautiful platform of stability. Maybe it's a red square, a golden square, and you're sitting on it, upheld, nourished from below by the beauty of the supportive care of Mother Earth. And from that place of stability, take your awareness to your heart and breathe forward and backwards, in and out from your heart. Feeling that as you breathe out, you're sending your love. As you breathe in, you're receiving everybody's love. You're upheld on the platform of the spouse of power, Mother Earth holding you. And resting upon her is your love, going backwards and forwards, outwards and inwards. And realize that you're part of a web of love that is spreading on this planet. Let it come into you too. and know that you are cared for so very much, because you're one of the instruments of this new lesson humanity has to learn. It's such an important moment. When you get this right in your class, you will have discovered how to build resonance from heart energy, heart chakra, through to the essence of all of your koshas. You're not present physically, you're not present pranically, but you are so present emotionally at the level of your knowings and understandings of life, and at the level of guardian consciousness, where the Devam factor unites us all. And so I wrote down here all kinds of ideas, and I particularly wrote down the curriculum that I use to really train people into the ability to teach this experience. And I'm not going to go through
like
it.
Another masterclass.
It's too long, it goes down the page, down there. So that's the kind of thing we teach on the, it's the kind of thing we teach on the Spirituality of Yoga retreat, how to do it. And we're going to stream that online this year, because, well, if we can come at the end of May all together, then we will, but I'm guessing that's pretty unlikely. So we're going to stream it live. And we've already discovered we can teach the most advanced yoga probably being taught in the West at the moment, last weekend in the Advanced Practitioner course, and it was magical. And we can teach the spirituality of yoga just as well, and you can learn it too. So so I was actually thinking, little personal plug here, if you're interested in discovering more about the energetics of building a classroom experience together, I thought I might see if anyone's interested in a ongoing mentoring process of that, group mentoring. So if you're interested in that, either send a chat, or better still, send an email to Anushka on her webinars at druworldwide.com, or to me, Andrew@druworldwide.com. Anyway, that's my personal plug. More than anything else, the purpose of all this, remember, is for us to become the greatest that we can become, for humanity to make another creaking step upwards to being the guardians of a most beautiful planet.
Hear, hear. Beautiful. And of course, what Andrew's saying, that's why we are doing what we're doing. So here at Dru, we've been connecting every morning with you at 10 o'clock UK time. Connection is the most crucial thing. Connection and inspiration and wisdom, that's what we're offering through our Together at Home part of our website, because we want to find new, beautiful ways of connecting with you. So I know there are about 400 of you here today, and I know many of you join every morning where we do our Instagram Live, and we've got events throughout the week, and we warmly, warmly welcome you to join us. Please come and feel the love of your Dru community surrounding you wherever you are in the world. Some of you are very far away from other teachers. I'm thinking of Joe, you're in Ibiza. There aren't so many teachers near you, so these ways of connecting are so important. Like on Wednesday, day after tomorrow, Annie Jones is going to do a fantastic masterclass showing you how to work with the ancient laws of Ayurveda in a very modern way to keep you and your family as healthy as you can be, through what you drink before you go to bed so that your immune system really is replenished overnight, through how you work with breaths. So it's taking your yoga and meditation a step further. If you can join us on Wednesday night, if you're on the DPN, if you're on the online studio, it's half price. Please do join us. It will be a fantastic, really nourishing, educational time with Annie on Wednesday. We've got a yoga class on Thursday night. There's so much happening. There's a Friday night amazing special event. And for those of you who are feeling not sure about this online stuff, like I was saying earlier, the online studio is our gift, our offering that the team who are sitting here in the room, Anushka, particularly, I want to really thank you, Anushka. I wish you could see Anushka, but she's working hard, so hard, with Annie and with the whole team to create years and years of wisdom in that online studio. It's a labour of love, it really, really is. And there are so many teachers. I look at Elizabeth teaching her class, you know, how to work with yoga for more elderly people. There's power yoga there, there's talks on health, there's so much there. And I think for some of you, we would love you to be able to share that with your students. So just for a week or two, we are enabling you to offer the online studio to your students. Some of you who aren't members yet might want to sign up, and a year's membership is 50% off. And I'm going to send you the link in the email that will come to you later on tonight. So it's a labour of love. Please, we invite you to use all the effort that's been put into it to help your community, your friends and your family. And going back to what we were saying about really valuing all the effort and the training that you've put into being at this point here, there will be a donate button. If any of you feel moved by anything you've learned tonight, if that magical meditation from Andrew has given you solace or strength, if you do want to contribute a little bit, that's free for you to do so. This is a free masterclass, but if any of you want to contribute, it makes such a difference to us as a social enterprise. You know, we're all going through interesting times, so if you would like to contribute in that way, your support makes such a difference. So we have wonderful things coming up, including our Restorative Yoga weekend. Ha! See, Andrew was just typing away and I thought, I see what he's writing. So Nana and team are going to be teaching a weekend of restorative yoga. If you know your students need rest at this time, then come and join them. So that's the 4th to 5th of April. We're going to have our sound retreat. We'll be here live. If you love chanting, if you love kirtan, come and join us as we take you through sound and mantra, how to speak with authority and power and prana, how to meditate with sound, and how to use chanting to really help you. We're going to have like a shortened version of the sound weekend that was also on that weekend. So you're going to have 2 options. If you need a good rest and restore your energy, we've got the restorative yoga weekend coming up, and the sound will be a retreat from home. Now those events are still to go up on the website, so don't get too excited, but we will be sending them to you in the next few days and filling you in on all the things that we're putting together for retreat together at home. It's going to be fun. It's
going to be fun. I mean, there's really so much that we can all do together, and I guess the biggest thing is our purpose together is to be together and to feel like we are one community making a big difference for one planet. And there's a whole lot of extra questions in here.
Oh.
Pigeon breath. Yes, go for it.
And on Thursday, Rita Goswami is doing the 8 a.m. Instagram class, and she will be doing pranayama. Oh. Okay. So I highly recommend being on there, 8 o'clock, no, sorry.
10 a.m.
She might get a shock. 10 a.m. Okay, yeah, 10, thank you. The team in the back are making lots of hand gestures there. We did start at 8 o'clock. I did too at 8 o'clock, that's why it's in my mind.
I'll just say about the pigeon breath. As with any posture, find a way to do your postures in a way that is inherently safe. So if you've been doing pigeon breath, I'm just going to go overboard with pigeon breath here, like this, it's not going to help very much. But if you do pigeon breath like this, in which the back of the neck grows long rather than kinks back, now you've got something which is magical for everybody. So each posture has an opportunity like that. So find those postures, and if you're not sure, ask. That's what the Dru Yoga Teachers Group is for. That's what your CPD events are for. That's what Nana's for in Restorative Yoga. That's what we're all here together. So Niels asked a lovely question about donation, but we've covered that. There is a link that you can go to for that.
Which we'll send you in the email after this event.
Yeah. So I think we're ready to thank you for being the dream team, the Dru team, the dream team, and indeed these days for also being the stream team. I'm so sorry about that. We love you very much. We wish you all the very, very best, and let's stay together. And I guess sneak preview for Friday night. The family, the community that prays together, what does it do? It stays together. So we've got a very, very special thing to share with you that will enable us all to stay together and to help our beautiful planet Earth all along the way. So it's good night from me.
And good night from him. Good night. Thank you so much. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Shanti.